All right, let's, is Jan Smith standing by?
Yes, I'm on. Can you hear me?
What have you been doing with yourself? Just sitting there being
just
so
having a
quiet.
Great time with my microscope.
Yeah. Jan Smith has been with us on all of our programs. She has had Morgellons now for, got to be close to 9 years, Jan?
10 now.
10. Time flies, eh? Jan is an heroic researcher who has supplied the world with many of the photographs you'll see at rents.com, and I hope you'll take a look at them. These photographs, along with the information that Dr. Standinger, Dr. Mike Castle, and other doctors and others who have contributed so mightily to the program, and Cliff Mickelson is certainly one of them, have put pressure on the federal government to the extent that the CDC has had to, again, create what they call a task force. Who knows how many that is. In other words, an in-house body of yes men and women to look into this situation. Hell, all they have to do is listen to the programs and look at the pictures. They don't have to do much research. It's done for them. But anyway, we've done a lot, and Jan Smith has played a key role in that with her microscope and her amazing ability to capture these images of bizarre nanotechnology, machine-like, and in some cases looking like living claws. I mean, these are bizarre things. We'll talk to Jan as we continue in just a couple of minutes, and we're going to remind you that at the bottom of Dr. Standinger's paper, you'll find a little link that says photos, and you can take a quick look there and see there are 3 photos there. We might be able to get back and talk about those real quickly after the break here with Hilda. Okay, time flies. Right back with you, Dr. Hildegard Standinger, Dr. Mike Castle, and Jan Smith with us. The Morgellons photos accessible by clicking on the photos link at the bottom of Dr. Standinger's paper. Look right under her name in guests at rents.com. There are 3 of them, Hilda. You want to tell us what they are quickly, please? First one is nano arrays, specimens from Jan's body. It's a photo of a close-up item. It has 2 X's, 2 red X's on them. Do you remember that one?
Yes, I remember them. I received a number of pictures, and I don't have access to the computer where I'm at right now.
Okay, all right. We'll leave it up to the folks.
I'm sorry, and I apologize to the audience.
We'll take a look at the photos ourselves, and let me go to Jan right away. Jan, what really has to scare the dickens out of most people is that these fibers move.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you have proven this. You are the pioneer. You showed it. You've put videos up on YouTube. We have them on the site. Tell us about the moving nanotechnology tubes of Morgellons.
Okay. Well, there's two different things that I have discovered that move. One of them is the nanotechnology tubes, and many people would say those were the worms or the modal strands. In a closer look at a paper that Dr. Standinger sent me called Advanced Technology, there's an item very similar to that that's an actual advanced type of nanotube that looks very much like the worms.
I have it. It's called Advanced Materials.
Right. And on that page there's a picture of something that almost looks like a strand of beads or something, but it's an actual nanotube that very much resembles the worm-like things that I have.
Yeah. And then there's one that has what looks like pincers on the end of it.
Right.
Yeah, and Hildy can probably explain that one better than I could.
Yeah, that was like a claw, or which they used to gather materials within the structure within the entity that it's placed in. And what I found very interesting about that is that when you look at the shape of those, I'm going to call it nano claws, it looks very much very much like the pictures that we saw in the very beginning of the second show that we did with you.
Yeah.
Number 6. Meaning if you took out all the gel or took out what the structure is, just looked at the bare skeleton of it.
Right. Now this is not to say, dear friends, that human beings do not get parasites, do not get worms. The human body can easily inhabit and play host to well over 130 different kinds of parasites. We know this. There are parasites in the skin of people, in their internal organs, in their joints. But this, Morgellons, is something entirely unprecedented. It's not been seen before. And as Hildy said now, we don't know how many nanotechnology devices have been created in this worldwide rush into this unknown world of nanotech. Thousands of them. Thousands and thousands of them. And more all the time. And they're rushing to the patent office, and they're just amazingly inept at trying to... The world government should be... All countries, all world governments, all local governments should be looking at this very, very carefully, and they're not. They're just not. Too much money involved, I guess. Same old story.
It's a new business. It's the race for... Like we had the Industrial Revolution, we had the race for space. Now it's the race of the nano, meaning... the micro world.
The micro world. Okay, Jan Smith. Motile fibers. I remember the first time I saw one of your videos of the little white fibers. One of them was moving, and I just said to myself, "Oh my, oh my."
Now, many people with Morgellons have that, and naturally, everybody can only use their own point of reference from what they've learned throughout their life. And so normally if you see something undulating like a worm, in your mind you're saying, this is a worm, because you don't have any other point of reference.
Good point.
And, I know for me, nanotechnology has been a new subject that I've just gotten into, in the past few months. And before this, I was very green. I thought that nanotechnology was going to look like the inside of a transistor radio, and it really doesn't look like it at all. It looks just like what's inside of us.
How much of a power do you need in a microscope to observe fibers easily? 50, 60? A 10 power isn't going to do it in most cases, correct?
You can vaguely see them at a 10 power, but 60 is a good size.
So if you see them at 10, they're granddaddy size fibers. They're big. They're real big.
You can't see too much detail at 10.
Right, understand.
And at 200, you can see quite a bit of detail.
Right, okay, so if
you
want to look... The
one thing on this page that I'm really hoping that you put some emphasis on is this ChemBot, because this was a one-time find on my part. And throughout the time that I've had this disease, I have seen the residue of this, but I have never found a whole one. This is kind of like a gift from God.
All right, well, let's go look at that. Look at Hildy's paper, Morgellons Nano 911, a foreign invader. Click on that again. Scroll down to the bottom of that paper. Look for the little link on the left that says Photos. Click on Photos, and there are 3 photos. Go down to the middle. The middle photo says ChemBot. The middle photo, specimen from Jan's body. All right, for those of you not online, it looks like a bunch of little round, blackish ball bearings stuck together.
Well, actually, with the higher magnification that I had, I have a scientific microscope, but unfortunately it doesn't take pictures. And with my scientific microscope, I could clearly see that every single one of these little round ball bearings that you're mentioning was a silver color, and they all were faceted. So that when I saw this, this was like the most excited I ever got. I was on the phone with Hildy, and Shoshona so fast I couldn't even believe it.
Okay, faceted, that means, folks, they're not smooth bubbles. They have facets or flat sides. Now, were these facets geometrically perfect or suspiciously perfect looking, or were they rather random?
It was hard for me to tell because my magnification wasn't quite that good. But the matrix around them was definitely a black material, which was a different material than the little round orbs. And if anyone would look into a nano, Hildy would tell you what to look up, but this is a typical shape for nanoparticles. This is a typical configuration of how these one row nests into the other row.
Right, and there's a NIOSH website, the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, that has now it's called Nanotechnology, and it's like a nano library, and it has, you plug in nanoparticle, and it gives you all kinds of pictures and what's the references of the people who have invented it and the papers that they're publishing.
Okay, so the ChemBot is identifiable amongst the nano literature? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh, it is. Who developed it, and what was it developed for? Do we know, Jan?
Well, Hildy can give you all the details on that. I'm the picture taker, and she's the figure outer.
A lot of it was done in universities. A lot was done in MIT and those areas to develop it for new technology that would aid in oils, aid in medicine.
Drug delivery.
Yeah, drug delivery.
Oh, really?
Systems. Yes.
Okay, so that may be some kind of a delivery parcel or a delivery protocol of some kind, a nano protocol for delivering something.
Nano drug delivery systems are big ventures in companies, hospitals, etc., for the simple reason that they want to give less chemotherapy agents or less radiation, so they couple it with a nanotechnology so it can be, quote-unquote, delivered at lower dose to the proper area where the disease is. But with everything, we still, even with endocrine disruptors, we still have to go to the bathroom. So where does this stuff go?
Of course, we pass it on into the environment, into the oceans and the lakes, the rivers, and the other life forms on the planet are equally, obviously, potential hosts for all of these things. So this is a planet-wide species. It doesn't discriminate. Flora, fauna, it could be in anything. Mm-hmm. These things literally could infest the world, and I see no reason to suspect that they won't in time. Now, the larger question here, ladies and gentlemen, is this an accident? Is it something being done intentionally? Or is it both? What do you think, Hildy, first?
Well, with anything, if you have a lot of good masterminds out there, whoever they may be, a lot of different experiments could be created. A lot of different answers to whatever they're studying could be created.
Okay. Mike, any ideas on this? Intentional or accidental or both?
I think it could be a little bit of both, Jeff. We do have information that says clearly that, for instance, the CIA was very involved in, I know I'm not supposed to say it on public radio, but they were very involved early on in chemtrails. But when you break down, well, just what were those operations and what were their intentions in doing, I clearly suspect that, and there's a number of that have discussed this, I clearly suspect that is part of one of their premier programs is experimentation to some degree, and I believe many of those experiments, in fact, may have went a little bit south because there's also drug enforcement technology in this mix of nanotechnology. Mm-hmm. And I believe that we've identified that in the literature as this is a nanotechnology that seems to have been crossed with a fungus of some sort.
How and furthermore, when one studies BSL 2, 3, 4, or even BSL 5 labs, and honestly looks at the precautions and the various kinds of security, you know that mistakes happen. You know that these organisms, bacterial and viral, can get loose. And nanotechnology organisms being far smaller, just imagine how easy it would be to sneak some out of a lab, for goodness sake, if someone wanted to do that. Or up a chimney, and they don't get burned up, because we know that these fibers can withstand temperatures, thanks to Jan Smith, of up to 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit. So they can go right up a so-called viral or bacterial or any other kind of secret technology disposable incinerator, and they're not being disposed of. They simply get a free ride up and out and over the neighborhood or over the city, which happens to be around it. So
yes, I think you might be interested to know the actual size of that ChemBot was pretty much the size of a period you'd put at the end of a sentence with a pen. And so that was my highest magnification that I could do anything with. But this thing could not even be seen with the naked eye. And then to have it have all the intricacies of every one of these tiny crystals was amazing to me.
All right.